this morning. Thank God for the lives you meet every day, the ups and downs you need to show. Good morning, Roland. Good morning, Dr. Lawrence.
Thanks for the intro. I don't even have to. We have in the studio Dr. Lawrence Tete with the Worldwide Miracle Church International. He's an evangelist known around the world, and I always love his 3-day packages with the Presbyterian Church and a whole others also with the Methodist Church, I believe. I always look forward to that, and his own that always is always packed as always. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Roland.
And yeah, it's
happy Boxing Day.
Thank you, and I wish you well for the season, the next year as well. Ken, how are you?
Doing well.
It's been a while.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great. And that's Ken Kabono. And Ken Kabono is somebody who composes music just straight off the cuff, uses the lyrics, but has the rhythms, of course, and does a lot more corporate and social events around Accra and elsewhere countrywide. Thanks again.
Pleasure.
I'm sure we'll call on you before the show ends.
That's
but
right.
if you like, you can sit in, but you can still just pop out. But thanks for joining us this morning. Now, basically, we know that we've had a period of the Xmas, etc. We have to look forward to a new year. But let's discuss the year. It's been a year of a lot more of the politics because it was an election year. We've had a president-elect, etc. What would you say, as a country, has been our demeanor throughout the year?
I think everybody was looking forward to the election with a mixed feeling. The mixed feeling because there wasn't any certainty, there was an uncertainty. So you realize that even leading to the Christmas, a lot of people forgot there was even Christmas. People got into the Christmas just about a few days ago because we're looking forward to it. But it's also a good feeling because I've realized that Ghanaians are maturing. We are getting into that realm of democracy, and we are getting to even understand politics better. A lot of people wonder why a pastor should be political. And I keep saying that every citizen must be political, but don't be partisan. Where we miss it is that we become too partisan, and then we put on our political cloth, political cars, and we forget that it is Ghana first and not our political party first. So I think it's a good feeling. Most people had that myth as to what was going to happen. And there's so much speculation leading to the election. There's going to be war, there's going to be fight, there's going to be bloodshed, somebody's going to steal, somebody's going to hijack, somebody's going to... These were all hypes. At the end of the day, we've had a very successful and a peaceful election. And I think the world at large will applaud Ghana for the way we've handled ourselves.
Now, I know you're a Christian man of God, so for us as a Christian nation, we always tend to look at a thing from the Christian perspective and everything. But we have Muslims, we have the other people of other practicing faith. Now, around the world, you take a look at those countries that tend to do well. They're not too Christian, are they?
We seem to lose sight of that, and this also another school of thought, it's an intellectual discourse. What it is that most of the world blessed nations were nations that loved God, that seed were sold into, that God pronounced blessing on, that had men of God that fought for them. If you take England, for instance, they had the likes of John Knox, they had the likes of Charles Wesley, John Wesley, and the others, Evans, Brevlin. John Knox says, God, give me Scotland or I die. He fasted and prayed for days, believed God for the liberation of Scotland. And that was what birthed today Presbyterian, what we call the Basel. So people have prayed in the past, and that blessings, the remnant of the blessing, is what they're enjoying. So can we even go back to the Jewish people themselves? Very godly people. You can't tell me that the kind of Jewish godliness we heard of and we read of is the same thing we have today. I go to Israel very often. I've been going to Israel since the late 80s. It's a little bit different. But because of the blessing that has already been bestowed upon them, they are enjoying some relief. And I think the same thing is happening to us in Ghana now. I think I will not shy from the fact that, but for the prayer of the saints, Ghana would have been a mess today. Now, if you look at all our leaders, Every one of them have some level of heritage, even those in other religion and other faith. But for the missionaries that we had in the early days of the development of this nation, most of us would not have been educated today. From the north to the south, from the east to the west, every one of us had some level of a religious input. And those are the things that are shaping our way of life, our attitude, our character, and it's the godliness that is keeping us as a nation.
And so, for you, men of God, we keep hearing that we're deviating from the faith. And what type of faith are we talking about? Is it the Christian faith or the faith generally to love God?
I think that the love of God is very important. I mean, the beginning of wisdom is the love of God anyway. So you cannot have that much wisdom and understanding in life and the things around you without loving God. We got up this morning and we can breathe, we can talk, we can see the joy of God, we can see the glory of God, we can see the favor of God, and that in itself, we have a lot to be thankful to God about. We, as a people and as a nation, we have every place reason to count our blessings and name them one by one. Because what we see here today, if you've traveled the way I've traveled, when you come back to Ghana, you thank God you're a Ghanaian. If you've been to Rwanda, you've been to Angola, if you've been to just Ivory Coast here, you've been to certain places, when you come back to this country of ours, you thank God you are.
Oh, but if you've been to the UK, the US, Canada, etc., you wish that you were back there.
Well, that is not true. I have lived in the UK for over 30 years. I left the shores of Ghana in the mid-80s. Tomorrow I'm going back to the UK. I'm holding 31st December night in the UK. It's not a big deal. I've been to 118 countries, for crying out loud. So you've been there. And trust me, there's no place like home. Those of us who live in the UK want to come back home. And anybody who's watching me today who is in Britain or in America or in Canada, where I've been several times, I've taught, lectured, stayed, lived there, live in the UK with my family, will tell you that it's peaceful here. It is great here. The thing is that we don't seem to see how to manage ourselves and put things together. But if you know your way out, know your way around, and know how to get a godliness, things work better home. And there's no place like home. Certainly, Roland, there is no place.
That virtue, godliness, how does it feed into or should feed into the way we should or need or are doing our things? I give you an example. You go to Singapore, they have Singapore.
Which I've been to several times.
Yeah, they have suburbs.
Yeah.
You don't drop gum, you don't do this, you don't do that. That is publicly if you're saying, all that. You go to some suburbs outside Ghana, in the more developed countries, they don't do certain things because it's become rudimentary. They're not the best of Christians or the best of the Muslims or the best of the Buddhists, etc. But it's just part of their nature. That's godliness.
I think godliness is a way of life. Many years ago, we used to have a saying like, cleanliness is led to godliness. Anything godly has a level of decorum. A godly person will not come and stand on TV and be insulting people, which we almost got into because of politics. We got to the culture of insult. We even got to a place where certain alien attitude and character traits entered into our Ghanaian fiber. When we were growing up in the 60s and the 70s, we didn't know how to insult older people. Even if you don't belong to a particular church, you don't know how to insult the leadership of that church. But we started seeing that in Ghana. That is not godliness. That is sin, that is evil. And those things does not govern a nation.
Really? You go to America, you go to the UK, they say all sorts of things. I mean, those things are broadcasting. Even the little child can say this and that, and that's allowed.
There is a way around it.
And they are developing.
No, there is a way around it. The Ofcom in the UK, remember I've been on TV maybe longer than most people we see on TV today. I started going on TV as far back as 1988, when today's TV was not a big deal. I mean, we started Metro, we started some station, and back even in the UK, I was on BBC 5. Ofcom controls a lot of things that go out. In our community, because we don't have that much control, the Media Commission doesn't have that much control on our media. A lot of people stand in their small box, FM station and whatever, and make pronouncements that undermines the dignity and integrity of this nation. Look at most things we read on Ghana Web today. You think as though Ghana is at war. Those of us who live in the diaspora, we have Ghana Web to listen or write or get to or read about Ghana. And you read some headlines and they're so sensational, you think nothing is happening in Ghana. And what we don't realize, in retrospect, is that when somebody wants to come and invest in Ghana, or somebody wants to come and do something meaningful in Ghana, he thinks something's happened. I'll give you a typical example. The Hungarian ambassador to Ghana today was my schoolmate. In fact, was my junior in the university. We stayed in the same faculty. We are friends. Andras Sabo. He's in charge of 11 nations now in
including
Africa.
Ghana.
Including Ghana, but he lives in Ghana. He lives in Cantonment. He called me early in the morning and said, Lawrence, please tell me the truth. Is there going to be war so we can pack our things and go? Because he's just read something on the net that something is about to happen, and then this election, it's going to be bad. And I said, Andras, nothing is going to share me name folk totally. I told him in Hungarian language that share me name folk totally. Ejatolan, Bakeless or Ghana. There's going to be peace in Ghana. Nothing is going to happen in Ghana. And this Hungarian language I just spoke. So I spoke to him, and he kept calling me, and I kept giving him assurances, because some of his friends will read it. And then I realized that, no, he was reading Ghana Web. He was reading a particular site on Ghana Web. And I told him that shift from there. There's so many places you can read. Go on Joy Online, go on certain lines, go on certain stations, and you realize that there's a balanced view of what you are reading. So we need to be very careful. We need to be mindful. And Roland, as a matter of fact, I keep saying this thing, from the politicians to the clergy to the pressmen, the media, and what have you, we all have a collective responsibility to make sure we portray Ghana in a better manner so that we can have this nation properly built.
I tell you, there's a story on CNN that said we queue to buy food. I know we queue to buy wachi, but we queue to buy the best wachi. Okay. And then on social media, my colleague Gary Al Smith tried to rally people, and we all did, Kujo Youngson and myself on Twitter and etc. We tried to condemn what the reportage was. But also because of the negative reportage from the media and also from the political communicators, right?
Thank you. Sometimes we give ourselves away. Ghana don't need arms. As a matter of fact, the sort of brains we have in this nation, I don't think we allow it to do it best, because we undermine the credibility of the very people who be doing the work. Let me give you an example of our politicians. What did we say about President-elect Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo? What did we say about outgoing President John Dramani Mahama? Some of the things were needless. And at the end of the day, John Mahama finishes today, he becomes an international statesman. He goes around the world, and people will be looking at him as to certain things that could have been avoided. President John Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will be going, and certain things, so we need to be very careful, especially as a developing nation. We need to be mindful. And I keep saying this thing, we should not undermine the integrity of people tonight. You say the West will always want to portray us in a way, but we need to also, if you give the devil attention, he gives you direction. We have a collective responsibility to make sure we paint Ghana in a positive manner so that we will not lose track of what we want to be. We don't need to lose track at all. It's very important.
We're still with Dr. Lawrence Tete. We also have Ken Kabunu giving us some rendition. And then we'll continue. It's the Boxing Day edition of the AM show. And it's just a wrap-up discussions with Dr. Lawrence Tete of the Worldwide Miracle Outreach. And he will be having his 31st all-night service in the United Kingdom very soon. And we know that a number of 31st all-night services will be convened here in our country. But Ken Kabunu will give us some rendition.
Well, he said it all. way we communicate might distort the way we look at everything. Just as Dr. Lawrence Tete expressed every sentiment, he said what you sow is what you reap. The way you look at things everywhere, it should be godly, should be edifying. You must realize you can plant what you would reap in the future. The way you talk about people, everywhere, every day, the way you picture everyone. Think about the consequences. He's traveled way around the world. He's seen no place like home, and that's really true. And I truly agree. Dr. Lawrence Tete said it all. He said the truth. This is Boxing Day. Send this message across as a present to your friends and relatives. Tell the world we belong together in our destinies. We can do exactly what we can. Build it up and create a dream for yourself. Roland, this is the end of the short song.
Thank you. We'll let you have one or two before you go. But now we have to look forward to a year in which the political season is over. We're having all the reveling, Christmas, and we talk about Christmas, etc. But let's look at how we need to orient our minds for the new year. We've gone through an electioneering in which we said the economy is as bad as, we keep living in it. And we know that the new government will come to tell us it's the most, tend to give a certain gloomy picture to the ordinary Ghanaian. Now, how do we need to warm our heart and orient ourselves positively?
I think that I would not sit here and say everything, all is well. We have a long way to go as a nation. Today, if you look at all our politicians, some sort of social matters seem to be missing. We want to just win election. Nobody wants to lose election. I said something on GTV a day before yesterday that it's better for your party to lose an election than for Ghana to be at war. Whether it is CPP or MPP or DPP, we've seen MPP lose election before. We've seen NDC lost election before. 2012, I looked at Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and I was so proud of him that he stood at the Supreme Court, and even though you can see from his face he's very disappointed, he said, I accept the verdict. That is a statement. That is true leader. So did I watch President John Dramani Mahama on the 9th. You can tell his voice was cracking. Nobody wants to lose an election. More so when he thinks everything has just worked out for him and say, I concede. If we look at the demeanor of these two leaders of ours, they need to be thanked, they need to be blessed, they need to be encouraged. And we, the followers, whether you are NDC or MPP, we need to just get that spirit of those two leaders so that we walk the talk of peace. It's easier to say I believe in peace. And it's another thing altogether to walk that talk of peace. So coming next year, we need to be very mindful of our talk. Let's give Nana Addo Dankwa the chance to govern. That is the mandate of the people. Let us not try as much as possible to throw stones and grasses into the policies he's got. Democracy is about giving people the privilege to rule by the people and with the people. And so we all, and I keep saying this thing, that as a nation, we need a massive united front. A front that will see the good in CPP, the good in NDP, the good in PPP, the good in MPP, and the good in NDC. The biggest challenge in Ghana is that over the years I've noticed winner takes all. And sometimes it is not the best.
Why?
It's not the best because in every dispensation you have people who are knowledgeable. I believe NDC could have gotten hold of certain people from MPP when they were ruling that have got what it takes. And they could have just been brought in so that that spirit of nationalistic spirit can be the cohesion.
So it doesn't seem as if it's only you who is doing it.
No.
And so everything, so you see that, is that why you see that on the other side, everything is opposed?
That is exactly what
the
it
other
is.
side, everything
Because we
is
don't have the
accepted.
massive united front, everybody claim the glory for themselves. Listen to the politicians and start playing back what they've said. What somebody criticized this election, next year would be a bid for him, and he'll be working on it. Look at even the appointment that has been made. NDC does it, MPP is doing it, NDC will do it, MPP will do it. As long as it's in your favor, it's okay. As long as it's not in your favor, it's not good. We have to grow from that stage.
Would we ever come to a point where, for example, from the time we had the Rawlings regime off, we barely had people who had served in that government come to serve in the Kufuor government. We barely had people who served in the Kufuor government come to serve in the Mills Mahama government. And I'm sure the status quo is going to continue. And all those talents who are perhaps have doctorates, have made inputs out in the diaspora, they are back in Ghana, and after 8 years, they're just off the mark. You can't work for any corporate institution, no state agency, nothing.
Let me give you a practical example.
Please do.
Why do you think most pastors, clergymen, knowledgeable, blessed, don't want to get into politics?
Because you'll be tagged, I think.
And a lot of us get tagged. And sometimes the most painful thing is when you sacrifice your life to come and support your nation and you are put in the box. As I sit here now, without being too arrogant, I don't need any politician to give me anything. I don't need a V8. I can buy it for myself. I don't need a house. I have a house for myself. I don't need a swimming pool. By the grace of God, I have a swimming pool for myself. So I'm not hustling. God has blessed some of us. We just come to this nation because we believe we receive so much, going through secondary school, going through education, and then God has blessed us in the diaspora. I believe every Ghanaian should be a peace envoy. Every Ghanaian should be a goodwill ambassador for Ghana. Come back. You get tagged. And sometimes when you get tagged and you read comments about yourself on the web, you feel like you don't want to do anything with Ghana again. The friends we have that I know, that I went to school with, who went to LSE like I went, who went to Hungary like I went, who have been to certain grades, who some of them are in Harvard and others who have had privileges, who can come back to support this nation. But because they are being tagged, they want to stay in their corner. And so we need to start maturing from that age. As a man of God, you need to belong somewhere anyway. As we sit here, we all voted.
Yeah, sure.
I make sure.
I voted.
Many years ago, I came with a family to register as Ghanaians. I want the children to know that this is where they belong to. We are not foreigners. The British passport we use, what do we gain in it? In fact, I prefer to even travel on Ghanaian passport. Sometimes the little immunity you even get, people tag you for the immunity. And so we need to start maturing and growing from that. So we come to that place and say, we have a collective responsibility. NDC, NPP, don't forget we are the same people. Everyone is the same people. And what we don't realize is that is our followers, those who become too fanatic, they create that problem. But you'll be surprised the relationship that will be assuming now between your mama and another Danko Akufo-Addo. And we sit behind the fence and we say this one belongs
because this one will be ex-president, this one will be president.
And they will be friends. They will be going to programs.
Definitely have been members of parliament with
each. In fact, they have a relationship.
Yes, they do.
They have a relationship. And those of us who get to Parliament House and with even social media or even come to some of these interviews, if you think certain people are enemies, you'll have a shock. Immediately after they finish insulting and fighting on stage, behind the stage, they go and break bread together. You don't break bread with your enemy. So we have to start understanding that. And that is why I keep saying that Ghanaians should learn to be political, but not partisan. If we learn to be political, what do I mean by learning to be political? We understand the political trend. Then we'll be even more discerning and vote on issues that are relevant to this nation. Otherwise, look at what is happening. Anything NPP did, NDC came to condemn it. And anything NDC has done, NPP is condemning it. And sometimes we don't even allow continuity. We don't have a successive plan. And those are the things we should all pray that we move out of. Otherwise, the good in everybody will be undermined. Some of us I bring a lot of investors. So do I bring a lot of preachers from around the world. In fact, there was a time 2 good aircraft came from Oral Roberts University because of me into this country. The Oral Roberts University is my friend. I run the Nation Power, my friend. And can you imagine that I sit here and then tomorrow, Richard Robert Oral Roberts ministry begins to raise something very ugly about Lawrence Tete, what is done, and which parties belong to, and you you water down everything. So we must learn to be accommodating. We must learn to be one. And remember that, listen to me, Ghana is not about NDC and NPP. It's about the people who are coming together. And before I even go into the next stage, let me say congratulations to Nana Danko Akufo-Addo. I love the way they've handled themselves.
We have a surprise song for you. I hear you love the song.
When we walk with
The Lord
in the light of His word, what the glory He sheds on our way. When we do His good will,
He abides with us.
He abides with us still.
And with all
who will trust and obey.
Trust and obey.
Trust and obey. For there's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. Trust and obey. For there's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. Doctor, all what you said within the span of time, with all sacrifices you have made. No matter when you are attacked, your faith holds up high and will cross all the barriers of life. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and
Why do you love this song?
Well, every human being, regardless of your race, color, creed, or sex, must trust and obey. The only thing we have to live for is trusting in God. Because if you don't have anything to trust in, and you cannot trust in God, then you are not living.
Yeah, true.
You are just a living dead if you have nothing.
You have a program
to
on
trust in.
31st nights in the UK. Where in the UK?
At the Elephant and Castle.
Oh, Elephant and Castle.
Yes.
Okay. You're ministering in the church there?
Yes, no, my ministry, remember my base is in London, and we have an outreach base there. So I meet all my partners around the world. So it's quite a huge thing. People will be coming from all walks of life, partners who want to travel, a lot of people who want a place to fellowship. And remember, England is dead. Churches are dead. People want revival. And so people come from all walks of life. And my ministry knows that anywhere I gallivant to, at least 31st, they'll get me. I remember last year, my wife and I were in Dubai, and we missed the flight on the 30th. And my girl, Gloria, in the office said, "Oh, that is a lie. Daddy will come. Daddy will be there on 31st. And exactly that's what happened. We landed in Great Britain at Heathrow about 10 p.m.
And you straight away went to...
Straight. I was in my jeans and in my T-shirt, and I went straight to church with that. But they know 31st.
It was the same venue, Elephant and Castle.
Yes.
Great.
They know I cannot miss at all.
I'll visit you next year.
You are welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome. That you are is guaranteed at every 31st.
If you have one advice to give us, what advice would you give me, him, the rest of the Ghanaian population?
Many years ago, one of my greatest inspirer and mentors, President Nelson Mandela, made a statement when he came out of prison, and the black guys went to meet him. And they said, "Now we've taken up. Let us go for war." He said, "No, the war is over. Let's go back to school. Let's educate ourselves and understand what politics is." I will encourage every Ghanaian to remember, campaign is over. Governance has begun. Let's see how we can put ourselves together and get a rank and file of this nation to build among Ghana. The destiny of Ghana is great. Ghana should not be limited to NDC, NPP at all. I see a great future for this nation. And I'm happy with even the trend everything has taken. We have proven to the world, we've even proven to America and England, and proven to Africa that Ghanaians are maturing in with democracy. And look at the way everything went. Even though Ghanaians, we are like guns. Even when you lie on the floor, you say, if I get, I will beat you. But we should remember that we all have a collective responsibility and that we need a massive united front to build this nation. And then we should not forget God. The God factor in this nation is what will take us to another level. Wisdom comes from God. Boldness comes from God. Being understanding comes from God. So if we all get to the Godfather, and that is what I will urge our big brother, and for some of you, Father Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President-elect, that he should not leave his God at all. He should hold on to God. If he can hold on to God the way he's holding on now, God himself will take him to another level. Because nothing is by might nor by power. Trust me, sometimes even the people around you who are cheering on and giving you all the evil intention will have their own agenda. But if you can rely on God, he will never fail you. So let all of us, as a people and as a nation, rely on God to take us to the other level or to the higher level we are going to. And Ghana will be well. I wish all of you a prosperous new year. I'm believing God that I will be back here on the 6th of January so I can be part of the swearing in. We have to be nationalistic. I believe that every Ghanaian must be nationalistic. And for me, it's not about John Mahama or Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. It's about a nation. If you look at the history of Ghana, and I keep saying this thing everywhere I speak at, God has himself given us leaders. As a student of history and international relations, I know Kwame Nkrumah was in prison when he first became the prime minister. He was brought from Russia for jail for somewhere there. He became a leader. Professor Kofi Arifat was in Ezra when he came to be the leader. We, at least at your age, you remember the story of Jerry John Rawlings. He was in prison when junior officers went to release him. For nearly 20 years, he was the leader of Ghana. President John Ajekum Kufuor, I believe the day he won the election, he didn't even realize it has happened. It happened. Then I spoke to, of course, I've had a chance to speak to all these people, with the exception of maybe Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, whom I didn't get to particularly speak to. I've had a conversation with all these guys I'm talking about. And then I remember talking to President Atamels of blessed memory. I said, Rev, it was just a finger of God. I didn't even realize that's happened. And God made me become the president. President John Dramani Mahama went to sleep as a vice president. He got up as a vice president, was going round about his work as a vice president. By the time he was going to sleep in the evening, he was a president. Then you and I were here last 2 weeks. When pockets of noise and things were being made, there wasn't any certain, nobody knew what was happening. And all of a sudden, as Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo himself said, almost 8 p.m. in the evening, he receives a call from John Dramani Mahama that congratulations, I'm congratulating him. And here we are, a sitting president to be. So everything is done by God. It's only God who improves. So let's learn to dedicate everything to God, and he will make a way where there seems to be no way.
Dr. Lawrence Tete with the Worldwide Miracle Outreach. Thanks for joining me this morning. Known worldwide as the chief evangelist, I call him. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Roland. And
All right.
congratulations. You guys have done very well. Enjoy, and we are proud of you.
Thank you too. Nice.
Oh, African dream, you never leave us like a shadow. You hang above us like the moon above the night. Oh, African dream, you never leave us like a shadow. You hang above us like the moon above the night. How strong is your strong attraction? We share with many souls. Our lives feed on this strange affection, like a man searching for gold. In times you're far away, your presence is haunting us. And when we get in closer, you smartly hide away. Oh, African dream, you never leave us like a shadow. You hang above us like the moon above the night. Oh, African dream, you never leave us like a shadow. You hang above us like the moon above the night, like the moon above the night, like the moon above the
You know George Michael?
Yeah, George Michael.
You know he passed on at 53.
He passed on.
You know any of his
He
songs?
had 1 million records and all that. In fact, I haven't been very familiar with most of his songs. I know bits and pieces, but the thing is that he did so much work in his career, and he was just about releasing his documentary when he died, you know, slated for March.
We all know, just like many
2017.
entertainers out there, they tend to be plagued with a lot more difficulties by the time they're getting out of the limelight.
But there's a certain twist to the whole thing. There's the element of discipline, you know, where when the artist has a culture, you know, that everybody knows you for, you know, there is a certain glory that you enjoy within your career. So that for me, his passing, though shocking, but there may be other twists and turns towards that. Yeah.
All right. So give us a nice rendition or something that comes from your heart.
It's daytime. It's daytime. Keep on rising to the clouds. It's your time. It's your moment. You need to rise to the top. Just do what you can. It's your day. Take your steps. Do what you can. It's your life. Live it to the full. It's your day. It's your time. It's your day. It's your time to rise. Rise up to the clouds. Some things may be wrong and then some things may be right. You may not know where to place your finger, but then open wide your eyes, do what you can. It's your day, it's your time to rise. You must believe in what you say. Just stick to what you can do every time. Believe in the faith that you carry. It's your day. It's your day to rise, pull up surprises. It's your day, it's your time, it's your right. Do what you can. Oh yeah, you can be successful every day. Oh, Roland, how do you feel about your day? Oh, how does it feel? Come on, do what you can.
We have to thank Nancy Black for that great makeup teaching service, and also Dr. Lawrence Tete and Ken Kabono, as well as Susan Taino, for teaching us how to wrap up our gift for today. But for all of you who have been watching, we say we're so grateful. Please make sure that you're always giving us a lot more of your messages on Facebook, Join Us on TV, and also on Twitter handle at Join Us on TV, and 0568 800,000 is our handle on WhatsApp. In the meantime, though, we have to say bye-bye to you. It's a Boxing Day edition of the AM show, and we hope that you have enjoyed it. If you have, please make sure you stay glued to the channel for regular programming. Now, we'll be with you same time tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.
Come on, share a smile. It's your day to